Factories are closing, workers are getting laid off, sales are declining, profits are down, and diesel RVs are about to get banned in multiple states. A few months ago, we asked, can it get any worse for the RV industry? And the answer to that question today is most definitely.
Now, in today's video, we're going to discuss the latest RVIA market report, share with you which major manufacturer is facing daunting losses and how all this affects sales, and we'll touch upon the diesel RV ban everyone's talking about.
All right, so let's get to it. Let's start by looking at the latest RV shipment and sales reports. Keep in mind, the numbers always lag behind. If you are new to our channel and you haven't seen one of our reports before, there are two different types of reports that we cover. The first is the shipments report. This report tells you how many units were shipped from the manufacturer to the dealership. Now, the second report, which is the really important report to me, is how many recreational vehicles were actually registered at the local motor vehicle administration. This number is the number that tells us how many sales actually took place. Now, both of these reports lag a little bit behind. The September report for the shipments runs about a month behind, and then the sales reports, we're going to get the ones from August, that runs usually about 2 months behind.
As expected, at least by us, September shipment numbers are in and continue to fall. So let's dive in.
So wholesale shipments actually came close to September 2023 levels, keeping the industry on pace for its second lowest annual shipment in more than a decade. According to RVIA's September 2024 survey, the manufacturer's wholesale RV shipments totaled 24,595 RVs. That's down slightly from the 24,700 RVs shipped in September of 2023.
For the month of September, RV shipments are up 7.7% compared with January through September of 2023, with 256,412 RVs shipped thus far in 2024. If the industry stays on pace, that would equate to a 6% increase over 2023.
Now, after hearing that, you're probably wondering, wait a minute, Sherry, wait a minute, John. You just said that the RV industry, the situation for them is getting even worse than it was before. Well, remember what we said about shipments. Shipments do not equate to sales, and there's something else going on in here. So stick with us, and we're going to explain to you why this is not necessarily the best news for the RV industry. So let's take a look at some other numbers, right? Because we know from last month that towables is what drove the increase in shipments, or what made it appear to be the increase in shipments.
Right.
And it's no different right now. The towable market is really what the glue that's holding the RV industry together. So let's get through all this, and you'll see where I'm going, and you'll see what my point is. Towable RV shipments led by travel trailers, just like I said before, they were up 4.2% from September of 2023 with 22,279 shipments. And motorhomes, once again, were hit the hardest. They continue to decline with 2,316 RV shipments, which is down 30.1% from September of last year. Now, once again, the RVIA president and CAO, Craig Kirby, is putting a positive spin on this and says shipments for 2024 are on track for modest increases from 2023 levels. Now, throughout this year, he has been very positive in the direction of RV shipments. And when they talk about the success of the industry, they are mostly focused on shipments, not the actual sales of RVs. Now, we've gotten some feedback from our previous industry report stating that the reason why shipments are so low right now is because we had this big boom back in 2020, 2021, where people were looking for alternate methods of travel, and they were purchasing RVs at a faster rate than normally would have happened. And if we went back and compared the numbers numbers to the pre-pandemic numbers, that we would see that really all we're doing is experiencing a normalization. So I went back and took a look at those numbers, and I have those numbers for you. So let's take a look at September 2019 and see if this is really the case. So the RVIA, and for those of you who don't know what the RVIA is, it's the RV Industry Association. They represent manufacturers, dealers, parts manufacturers, things like that. Their September survey back in 2019 found that total RV shipments ended the month with 31,639 wholesale shipments. We shipped 7,044 fewer RVs in 2024 than we did in 2019. With those numbers, you can see that what we're experiencing in this slowdown is not the result of a boom, right? It's not like things were just sold, and now there's nobody in the market that's left to consume. We're not seeing that correlation. We're just seeing that, even from, if we were to go back to 2019 under normal sales period, we are still shipping way fewer than what we had been shipping before. There are other things that are at play with this, and we're going to cover all of that. And I think a lot of you already know what some of these issues are. And we've been going through these for a very long time now. Maybe eventually somebody will listen to us.
Maybe.
This is a really serious decline for the RV industry. Let's take a look at the most important indicator, at least to me and John, and that is sales. Sales numbers come from the Statistical Surveys, Inc., and they represent RV registrations. How many recreational vehicles have been registered at the state's Motor Vehicle Administration? And remember, these are about 2 months behind. So we're going to take a look at August.
There were 32,317 retail registrations recorded in August of 2024. And that's a 13.6% decline when compared to the 37,407 total registrations in August of 2023.
That's larger than the 9% decline that we saw in July's year-over-year numbers. Now, according to Statistical Surveys, this year there have been 260,289 retail registrations in 2024, and that is a 10.1% decrease versus the 289,690 total for the same time frame back in 2023. This, my friends, contradicts the positive outcome voiced by the RVIA. You cannot say that we are on track for a positive year better than last year when you are selling fewer units than you did last year, and fewer units are being registered at the MVA than they were last year. That is not a positive outcome, friends. That is a decline. And I think that the industry just needs to wake up. Stop trying to put a spin on everything. Just wake up. Just take a look and say, what is the problem? Talk to your consumers. Find out why people aren't buying. We all know why people aren't buying. Put it in the comments below why you think people aren't buying, but I think it's very clear.
Yes.
And John and I have been saying it for a long time. It's poor quality. It's the outrageous prices that they're charging for these RVs. Yep. It's the economy. People don't have a lot of expendable income right now.
No, not at all.
It's been tough times for a lot of people when you've got to
very hard.
When the prices of the supermarket are so high. Who's going to go out and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on an RV that's going to require tons of repairs?
Right.
It just doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, I'm preaching. I should stop. I'm sorry, folks. I get that way. Look, we love RVing. We love the RV lifestyle, and we are so glad that we found this lifestyle, and I'm just very, very passionate about it. I love every camper I meet. I love all of you. It's just, RVers are such great people. We shouldn't be treated this way.
That's true.
I just get very emotional about it, but it's easy to see. Now, let's keep going. This continuous drop in sales is going to have major impact on dealerships and the industry as a whole. We've already seen lots of small dealerships that you guys love, because a lot of people don't want to go to the big, franchise dealerships, right?
No.
Those big chain dealerships to buy their RV. They want the service, both the customer service and, the mechanical service that they can get from these small dealerships.
Are you trying to give us a hint?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, John.
I understand.
But we've seen throughout 2024 that a lot of these smaller dealerships have been shuttering their doors or getting bought out by the larger chains like General RV, Blue Compass, and the rest of them. And it's giving us as consumers fewer options on where to buy and where to service our RVs. And in the end, we're the ones who are losing out, as well as the people who are losing jobs.
Yeah, that's right. We're all losing out that way.
Yes. And if lower sales isn't enough to convince you of the dire situation of the RV industry, then we need to take a look at how manufacturers are doing. In our last report, we talked about the huge losses in revenue and profit that Rev RV Group was experiencing. Now, Rev, they manufacture brands like Fleetwood, American Coach, Holiday Rambler, and many others. This time, we're going to take a look at some troubling numbers coming from Winnebago. Winnebago's no small timer. They've been in this business for a long time. And as a matter of fact, for the longest time, people referred to all RVs as Winnebagos, right?
They were like an iconic brand.
Exactly. It was like Winnebago. Everybody knows Winnebago, right?
They do.
So Winnebago has released its fourth quarter and end of year financial report, and it is not good. And to quote someone from a market watcher, investors were set to have, and I'm going to read this, investors were set to have their worst day in 2 years. The market set up a profit bullseye, and the miss was huge. As Winnebago's CEO put it, the RV industry continues to face various headwinds, and those headwinds caused Winnebago to take a beating.
Yeah.
And this is coming from Yahoo Finance News. So let's take a look at some of these numbers for Winnebago. They had a fourth quarter net loss of $29.1 million. And this is compared to a $43.8 million profit from last year. Their quarter four revenues declined 6.5%. Now, there's a difference between revenue and your profit. One is the amount of money that you take in. One is the amount of money that you take in after expenses.
Right.
So their revenues declined 6.5% to $720.9 million. And the towable RV backlog decreased 34.1%. The motorhome backlog, just like we see with everything else, there are not going to be any motorhomes, folks. The motorhome RV backlog declined 66%. And the adjusted, if you own Winnebago stock, I am so sorry, but the adjusted earnings per share dropped from $1.41 to just 28 cents. And the margin of the miss, the results were 68.5% below expectations. And this was the biggest in the last 5 years. And this is all according to the data from the fact set. So what does the CEO of Winnebago have to say? And I'm going to mispronounce his name, but it's Michael Happe. Is that how you say that? Happe?
It looks like Happe.
Happe. It's Happe. So however you pronounce that, Michael Happe. Michael, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but here's what he has to say, and I'm going to read this for you. Winnebago Industries' fourth quarter performance fell short of our expectations, primarily reflecting the sluggish retail demand environment and operating inefficiency. You know what? I'm happy. he is at least recognizing that there are operating inefficiencies.
I know that.
Because I got to tell you, we talked to them when we went to, was that in Tampa? No, that was Hershey.
That was at Hershey.
Not this past year, but last year at Hershey.
Yes.
We went through some of their brand new Access RVs, and we were really disappointed. And it was they were building them in a brand new plant.
Right.
And so it was like a different team, different management, and it was a mess. Like, we didn't even show the Accesses that we toured.
No, we did.
We didn't think they were, I mean, we did lots of videos, but we just didn't think that they were worth showing because there was just so much wrong with them. And we gave the video to Winnebago management, and they were like, yes, we're on this. And then we didn't hear anything again. So at least now they're very, very recognizing that there's something going on operational. At least that's what I hope they're talking about. Yeah. And they're not talking about like how they can cost cut operational, because if they're doing that, then I'm even more disappointed in Winnebago if that's the case. And I love Winnebago. It's so hard.
She loves so hard.
I do. I love their floor plans, and the people that work there, we've met a lot of them. They're really
they've
nice.
been wonderful.
People,
they've been great.
Really good people.
Love Winnebago.
So let's go back to this. So the RV industry continues to face various headwinds, including retail conditions, higher inventory carrying costs, and slightly elevated inventories in the motor home segment. I think it's a little bit more than slight.
Yeah, well.
Leading to continued dealer hesitancy and increased promotional efforts. Despite the challenging operating conditions in the fourth quarter, we continue to focus on the variables within our control. We prioritize profitability and cash generation, aggressively managed inventory, and invested in new products and technologies to drive future growth. Nowhere in here is it talking about the consumer. Nowhere in here is it talking about bringing value. I guess bringing value doesn't make money. It's all about the bottom line. I don't know if this means that we're going to see even more decontenting as a way, and maybe even less quality. But I don't understand why they don't get the fact that the more quality you put into these things, and when you price them right, I mean, it's totally ridiculous that, you don't start negotiating for an RV until you get like below 40% of what the existing MSRP is. How about we start getting realistic about the cost of your product? And how about, we start putting in some quality and like revamping how you do the lines so that you're not spending tons of money making repairs on brand new RVs.
That would help.
If you want to, prioritize something, and you want to bring more profit, and you want to generate more sales, how about doing things that will help you build a loyal customer base? That is what you need. As evidenced by the recent launch of the Lineage Series M, Grand Design's first motorized RV, product innovation remains a centerpiece of our long-term strategy. We are continuously evolving our offerings to strike the right balance between cutting-edge features and the growing consumer preference for affordability, highlighted by products such as the Grand Design Reflection 100 Series C. That's exactly what I'm saying. Let's make cheaper models. Let's not make our models better. Don't choke. Come on. Let's give John a minute. Let's make models cheaper. Let's not make better quality models so that we can build this returning customer base. As we begin fiscal 2025, our RV and marine brands are intensifying their efforts to deliver exceptional value to consumers across a range of price points. So,
I know we're going back to this Lineage.
Well, first of all, let me say something. Winnebago's seeing huge losses, Rev Group's seeing huge losses. What is the one thing that both of those companies, and Winnebago, there's a lot more to it, and I'll get to that, but the one thing that they have in common, what is the one thing they have in common, John? They both came out with new motorized models.
Oh, that's right.
In a year where motorized sales have been declining month over month and even year over year.
That's right.
And so what do?
They come out with brand new Class C models.
Yes. So, hey, motorized isn't selling. Let's come out with some brand new Classy Holiday Ramblers and Fleetwoods. Hey, let's come out with this Lineage because everybody's going to want another motorized RV. Instead of let's put all this into building a better quality RV that everybody is going to want to buy because it's priced right and it's built right. Am I wrong, people? Am I just like going to just put down in the comments below what you think if I'm just going off? Because I do that sometimes, and I could be totally wrong. I don't think so, but I could be. So let me know in the comments below what you think.
That's
about this whole analysis. Okay, so I didn't even have to go to my notes for this, folks. I already covered what I wanted to cover in this. So the only other thing I want to say about Winnebago, and one of the main reasons why I think Winnebago is down and why people aren't buying Winnebago like they used to, is this whole thing, and everybody said it, frame flex, frame damage, frame whatever you want to call. It was an issue. And it was an issue in the way that Winnebago handled it. Look, people told you that your product had a problem, and what did you do? You shut them down. You ignored them. You didn't treat them well. At least that's what I hear on the internet. I can only, Winnebago, don't sue me, please. Grand Design, don't sue me, please. I'm just telling you what I've heard.
I mean, they don't build the frame.
That's true. Lippert builds the frame, and I think that both have some responsibility, because Grand Design says to Lippert, here is what I want built, these are the specs for what I want built for my RV. And then Lippert builds it and ships it back.
Right.
And if what Grand Design is giving Lippert is a frame that won't support the RV that they're building, well, that's a problem. But even so, my whole point is, when this happened, Winnebago should have listened to their customers.
Yes.
Or Grand Design should have. Grand Design is a. If I didn't mention it, Grand Design was purchased by Winnebago, so it is in the Winnebago family. And the way you treat your customer, that tells you whether or not you have a return customer. And people don't. Even though people don't keep RVs for 10, 15, 20 years.
Very few.
And I didn't realize that when I came into this, I figured people would keep an RV for like 20 years.
I know, it's so expensive. You think, why would you trade out of it?
Yeah, I was like, we'll buy this, we're done.
Right.
But that's not the case, because people's lifestyles change.
Right.
And so people buy different types of RVs. I might want a motorhome today, but in 7 years, I might, want to downsize to a Class C or to a Class B, or I might want to travel differently. I might want to see and do different things. And that might require a different type of RV.
Right.
I might get hurt. He might get hurt. And one of us, we might not be able to handle something so big, right?
Right.
So we find people buy RVs like every 5 years, which really surprised, like a car almost with people in RVs in the industry. And let us know, if that's really the case or not. But from people that we've talked to, that's what we're finding out. And so if you buy a Grand Design, or you buy a Winnebago, or you buy a Fleetwood, and they treat you really well, and you have a product that's really good, what are you going to buy next? Are you going to go someplace else? No, you're going to go back and find another product that suits your needs from that manufacturer. Anyway, I'm going on and on and on, but I've got to think that is a big part of what happened with Winnebago. Finally, the last thing I'm going to talk about is, you've seen a lot of videos that have been talking about RV bans, and in particular motorized diesel bans in various states, mainly starting in California. We saw the news reports on this, and we decided not to do a video on it just yet, because we're not the type to just kind of like, oh, something's out there, let's go catch it. We're not going to do that, because we want to be able to give you meaningful information. Right. And we hope that with the meaningful information that we give you, that you guys will like and subscribe to our channel. We're John and Sherry from Amp to Glamp, and we would really love if you become a part of our family.
We would.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
So in 2025, so there's this thing called California's Advanced Clean Trucks Regulation, sometimes referred to as ACT. And it's aimed at promoting zero emissions vehicles in California. And it basically, what they're looking at is creating like a near total ban on motorhome sales in the state. It's not necessarily targeted at motorhomes. I think it was mostly targeted towards trucks.
Right.
But
yes,
because it has to do with the way it's written, and it speaks to manufacturers of medium and heavy duty vehicles, that they have to sell an increasing percentage of these, of what they call ZEVs, the zero emission vehicles, every year. Well, there aren't really any zero emission motorized manufacturers out there? There isn't like a chassis for that that's available for motorhomes?
Not beyond the Class B.
Well, Class B wouldn't be heavy duty.
No, it wouldn't be. We're talking large, heavy vehicles.
Right. And so because of that, motorhomes are kind of falling under it. And there were emails sent out, or there's an email, a letter that's circulating from like Newmar saying that, you know, now the only chassis that they can really use is the Ford F-53 chassis because, you know, they can't use the diesel ones. But I think what's coming out is that this may not only be impacting the diesel motorhomes, but this could also be impacting gas motorhomes that meet these criteria as well. Now, I think that we kind of need to do a little bit more investigation and see what happens. And the reason is Trump. With Trump's second presidency, there's a good chance that these environmental rules that California has been putting out.
And it's not just California at this point, right?
Oh, yeah, that's true. It's not just California.
No.
So the other states that are involved in this are Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, and Oregon, and Washington. They observe the act. RVIA is predicting, and they're also working to get this changed, right? Because they represent the RV manufacturers, and this is a bad thing for them, right?
Very bad.
Yes. So they're predicting that Vermont will see a similar shutdown in 2026. And in 2027, they're anticipating that Colorado, our home state of Maryland, New Mexico, and Rhode Island might jump on this bandwagon as well.
So that's a lot of states that may ban the sales. Diesel definitely, and perhaps gas RVs.
These rules, they have not been approved by the Biden administration yet. They could be rejected once Trump takes office. So we'll just have to see what happens. I mean, another thing to consider is that, you know, if California gets any lawsuits related to this or faces any legal challenges, then they're really going to be Trump-appointed judges that are going to be reviewing these, and I don't see them being in favor. We're going to do an in-depth video. We're going to do our research on it, and when we complete our research, you'll see the video right here. But in the meantime, before we switch them out, check out this video right here.
Why?
On John's face.
Yes, always.